Hello, YouTube, the YouTube world, and all the fans that enjoyed the fight on Saturday night, which was July 29th, of Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Bud Crawford. I'm your host, King J'Challa, here at What's Up TV Sports. You can find me on YouTube and look at some of my content on What's Up TV Sports. So go to the channel, subscribe. This is a new channel. So I only put out content, the very best content that I see in the sports world. So I'm just keeping it very, very unscripted, as I always do. And I want to give my thoughts on the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fight the other night. I've been watching a lot of channels and tutorials and different videos that people have been putting out about the fight against Spence against Crawford, and a lot of the information is good, and a lot of the information is not so good. I'm a realist. What I mean by being a realist is that I could be rooting for one fighter or the other, but can be very real about what I saw, what I believe, my opinions, and what have you. Having a little bit of experience myself as being a trainer, in boxing. Again, I've never been a boxer myself, but I have been training, and I've trained boxers now for we'll say, 2023 now. Started somewhere back in 2017. So we're talking about at least 6 years or better, so I've either been around boxers or just been in the field of training boxers. I have a little bit of knowledge about the boxing game. What I will say, and I'm going to jump right into it, and that is, what a wonderful fight. Terrence Bud Crawford showed up. He did his thing. He did what he's supposed to do. And all respect to Bud. He deserved it. The business haven't been all too great for Terrence Bud Crawford with Bob Arum and his last promotional team. And we know that, Bud could have gave so much more early in his career, and probably done some phenomenal things as he did do on Saturday a long time ago. So we give him his respect. I like Bud. He's a great fighter. He's an awesome guy. I like the body of work that he put in. I think Bud can do even more, a lot more at 154, maybe even going up even another division from that in due time. I like the way he move up. He move up when he's supposed to move up, as his body is gaining weight and he's developing naturally. And this is going to be a big part of what I'm going to talk about today, so we can quiet down some of the other critics and some of the other people who are saying some things about Errol Spence, where they're not really looking at this thing the right way. I won't say everyone. I've only heard a couple people, I think, talk with some type of reality, some type of truth about what really happened and what was really going on. Besides, Terrence Bud obviously doing a very, having a great night, a very impressive night, what they call a demolition and what people are calling a phenomenal night, an unbelievable night, and things like that. I mean, I give them all of the respect, all the terminologies you want to give them. But I'm a realist, and what I mean by a realist is, this is what I mean, and I'm going to say it to you in a different way. A realist is someone who really look at something and can realize and analyze something and go, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is off. Something is not right. And then we won't stop until we find out what that is. And so when you're a realist, that's what we do. We're going to dig. We're going to research. We're going to find out what really happened. Why was it such an upside? Because when you watch the fight, it was too much of a lopsided fight, and the whole world agrees to that. Now, when you're a Bud fan, you don't care. You don't supposed to care why it was lopsided. You don't supposed to care that the other camp didn't prepare or what they didn't do. It doesn't matter. A win is a win. But when you're a realist, you're not comfortable with that. You don't settle for that, because a realist want to see a real fight. Like, we don't want to see a depleted fight. We don't want to see a fight, with one person show up and there's some severe injuries and you have this lopsided fight, right? I equate it to this. If it was a football game and you had two championship teams, but you had one quarterback that had Charlie horses, severe Charlie horses, the entire week leading up to the fight. They just couldn't get rid of the Charlie horses, right? And then you get in the game, and then the Charlotte Horses are evident for the whole football game, and they get beat like 60-0. You know, was the other team really that much greater? Or was it because the quarterback of the other team, right, had major Charlotte Horses the whole night that he couldn't throw off of his back leg? What I am saying is these kind of things make a difference. And without making excuses, when these are real issues, you cannot ignore them. So I'm going to start off by saying it this way. And I know the Bud people, the Bud critics don't want to hear this. He won the fight, no problem. You know, I'll start out by also saying that I am an Errol Spence. I'm an Errol Spence fan. On the back end, I'm a Bud fan. So I am extremely happy for Bud as well. But I wanted to see the real Errol. I wanted to see my Errol, our Errol, show up. And so being a true Errol fan, we could tell you as true fans that Errol didn't show up, not because of what Bud did to him in the ring. It was what happened outside of the ring. And you don't have to think that's important. That's very important. And I know the Bud critics are going to say this again. The Bud critics are going to say, well, it don't matter. His camp's supposed to have him ready. His camp's still supposed to have him ready for the fight. We don't want to hear no excuses. You know, these are people that, you know, that want Bud to win no matter what, right? You're supposed to. That's your guy. You're supposed to, right? But this is the kind of dude that I am. Let's flip it. Let's say Errol was the top guy that night, and something with Terrence was off. I mean, really off, where you could tell that something else was going on. I would definitely want to see Errol fight Bud again, because I know what I saw was not the fight we wanted to see. Right? The other dude, something was wrong outside of the ring, right? You could tell that. What I'm saying is the real fight, the fight we want to see, haven't happened yet. That fight in the ring was less than a sparring expedition that was put on. How do we know that? Because the facts have come out. That's why I waited 3 days. Let everybody say what they have to say so the facts can come out. Now, Errol himself is not even talking about this. Errol is not making any excuses for this. Right? So me as an Errol fan, I'm not going to make any excuses for it. But I'm going to tell you the facts. See, facts aren't excuses. Facts are facts. Excuses is when you make up stuff. When you make things up. Those are excuses. But facts aren't excuses. So let's talk about it a little bit. What we have here is Errol Spence having to come down from 190 to 147. Now, if any of you know how to do math, then you know 190 to 147 is 43 pounds. Have you ever lost 43 pounds to come down and drain your body down to 43 pounds to 143? We're talking about 3 divisions worth of weight Errol has to drop down to even consider fighting not just Terrence, not just Bud Crawford, but any other fighter that he's fought before to get the belts he had to get. But he's been hiding it, right? Well, maybe not so much from the boxing world and those who know Errol and other boxers that know what it takes to be in the boxing ring, or trainers that know what it takes to train and know what it is when a fighter has to lose that much weight, what that really means. Now, I'll assure you that Terrence Bud Crawford and his camp, they knew exactly what that meant. What I'm saying here to you guys is that when you come down from 190 to 143, right? It takes away 50 to 60% of your power. I'm giving just a roundabout estimate of what you're going to lose. You're going to lose at least half of your power right there. Now, in this case, with Errol Spence, he lost even more than that. Errol looked 10% of himself. So we're going to say the fight was a 90-10 fight. Now, that type of loss is extreme. And this is why we saw the fight that we saw. Taking nothing away from Bud, but it's not because Bud was this phenomenal fighter that totally was light years ahead of Errol. And this is what the boxing critics want you to believe. Not true. Okay. Now, you can believe it if you want to. That's fine. A realist who do their homework, who research, who find out facts, will come back and tell you, not true. Regardless of what you want to believe, the fight was a 90-10. Errol had lost so much weight and he was so depleted trying to keep that weight off for over 17 months. Wait a minute now. I know you critics don't want to hear that, right? Bud won. If you want to hear that, we'll just say it. Bud won. You know, you got all these people on YouTube. I've been listening to them, and it does make you upset. They say they love Earl and they like Earl and they was going for Earl, but Terrence demolished him. Earl need to retire. Those are not Earl fans. Those, don't be fooled. Those are not Earl fans. Because if you was truly an Earl fan, you could tell before he got in the ring that something was wrong. I called it out. I had a fight that at my house. Even my wife called it out, right? Because we're true Errol Spence fans. We knew when he got in that ring that something was truly, truly wrong. We didn't know what it was. I had no clue myself what it was. But I looked in his eyes and in his face, and I said, something is really, really wrong here. I come to find out what that is. And no, it's not from injuries that he sustained from a car crash. No, it has nothing to do with that whatsoever. So we can kill the car crash. We can kill showing the flipping of the car over and over and over and over and trying to build this narrative, because true Earl haters want him to retire. True Bud fans want Earl to retire. You get it? So let's keep it real here. It had nothing to do with the car crash, right? Now, I'm not saying the car crash didn't have some type of adverse effects on Earl at some point in time, right? Perhaps. But we're not going to say that that was the reason for what we saw in the Bud fight. Why? Why can we say that? He's had two impressive fights before then with Danny Garcia and also with Ugas. Okay? Now, you could tell he wasn't at his full power at that point either when in both of those fights. But he fought a hell of a fight against Ugas, which was at a non-stop level of throwing, non-stop punches and power. He had it all there. It was all snappy. It was all happening. I mean, everything was going down the way that he wanted it to go down based on the level of the timing that it took to fight Ugas. His training and everything kind of went all together. What I mean by it is that he didn't have to wait so long to fight Ugas. So when you drop in weight that much weight, and then you have to fight another guy, you don't want to be sitting at that weight for 17 months. But Crawford team knew this. What I'm trying to say is, I hate when people do certain things knowing what they're doing and then try to spin off of it like they really was that much greater. See, I'm a realist and I don't like stuff like that. You dig? I like Bud, but I don't like BS. I like when you keep it real. Listen, man, we held the man off 17 months. We knew he was going to be drained because he's always drained in every fight that he fights, because we know that he have to lose 43 pounds, nearly 43 pounds, every fight that he has. And if you think Bud Kemp didn't know that, yeah, they did their homework. They didn't want to face a real Errol Truth Spence. Come on, man. They didn't want to face the real Errol Truth Spence Jr. And this is the thing. If you keep it 100, then I can respect you. Then I could throw out the accolades like all these other Bud critics and just say he totally demolished the guy. He beat him at his best. Yada, yada, woo, 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 yada, yada. That didn't happen. He beat a dude that was a sitting duck, that was 43 pounds less than his weight, that was drained because he sat there for 17 months waiting on you, Bud. And as much as I like you, I don't like the BS, man. Right? I just don't like stuff like that. I'm a realist. Everybody know I'm a realist. So what I'm saying is, if you wouldn't have ran for almost another year when the man was ready to fight you, then maybe I could give you that kind of respect that everyone else is giving you. But I can't do that because you ran for almost a year. And I don't like that. I don't like it because at the end of the day, it gives us a lopsided fight, because your camp already know that the Errol Spence Jr. camp got to bring this dude down 43 pounds and keep him at 147 until you ready to fight him. You get it? Do you get it? Let's hope the Bud critics get this, right? Let's hope y'all get this, and all y'all so-called experts get this as well. You know what surprised me? Out of all the experts that's in the boxing field, that's in the boxing business, none of them seem to really know this. Isn't it something strange that none of them really is talking about this when they know this? Makes you wonder, why don't they talk about it? Why don't they mention it? This is why I take my hat off to one guy and one guy only. And his name is Sugar Shane Mosley, the ex-pro fighter who finally bought this out and said what it really was. And he's a Terrence Bud supporter. But he's a realist. I support realists. And the real is Errol was 90-10. Bud didn't fight Errol Spence. That wasn't Errol Spence. And the Bud camp knew that because they did their homework outside the ring before the truth got inside the ring. So before Errol got inside the ring, the fight was already over. Bud camp knew. They got a 5-man team, I believe, and they watch everything, not just the boxing aspect of it, right? But what goes on outside the ring. They knew that this dude had to stay down this weight for so long in that heat, in that barn in Texas, in that heat, and then come to Vegas in that dry heat, right? And then have to still try to train and run up hills to keep the weight off so that he don't miss weight on the scale. See, Bud, to me, I don't respect that. See, if I'm a fighter dude, right, I want to fight a dude at his best because I don't want none of these facts to come to the table. I don't want none of these facts to come to the table. I'm going to fight him at his best, and I want to be at my best when I fight him. But you waited, Bud. And you waited for a reason. You went and took that promotional fight with some Blaz or Blade. I don't know what the promotional company was. Nobody even know who they was, where they came from, who they are today. But you came up, your team is phenomenal. You came up with this ideal, this whole deflection to go fight this guy, which would only throw the whole fight off when Errol wanted to fight you, which he was at that weight, he was ready to go, and you wasn't going to see Errol at that time. So you waited, and you got what you got the other night. That made you look phenomenal. Made you look like you demolished him. My grandma could have beat Errol on Saturday night. That man was so drained and so depleted. Do you know when your body's completely drained of hydration what it does to you? Do any of you know what it does to you? Have any of you had any experience with being dehydrated before? 90% of you probably don't even know. And then on top of that, you're a boxer, and boxing one of the best, one of the greatest fighters, one of the Hall of Fame fighters, which Terrence Bud Crawford going to be in boxing. Bottom line is, Terrence got a 10% Errol Spence. And that's why the fight looked the way it looked. Terrence know it. His camp know it. Errol know it. And Errol camp know it. So we on the sidelines as fans, right? We're left to, and the pundits, all the pundits involved in this, is able to spin this any kind of way we want to. But I'm not going to spin it the way everybody else is spinning it. I'm going to tell the truth and keep it real. It's the only way I can do it, right? I don't want a 10% Errol. And Bud, you shouldn't have wanted a 10% Errol either, but you took it. You took it, right? With that blocking you doing, with that UFC blocking move you doing, putting your hand across this way, all this UFC stuff that you was doing, which, I give it to you. That was a great strategy. But if it was the real Errol, he would have tore all this up. And as soon as you did this to block that number 2 coming at you, Errol would have took all this out. The real Errol. The 50% Errol. Because that's all we ever really saw. The fight against Showtime, Sean Porter, 50% Errol. The fight we saw against Kell Brooks, 50% Errol. You can only get 50% Errol because he got to come down to fight y'all at that weight. The man got to lose half of his power just to come down to fight you guys at that weight, 147. See, the truth is, Errol is that dude. Errol is that dude. Errol is that special dude. Because, okay, take Terrence Bud Crawford. Make him go up 43 pounds and see what happens. Let's flip it. Take Terrence Bud, put 43 pounds on him, and make him fight Errol Spence, say at 170. Let's let him meet in the middle at 170. I will tell you right now, Terrence would never do that. He would never, ever do that. If Errol can come down to 147, he has to lose all that power. Coming down make you lose power. Right? So coming down, he lost all that power. He beat Kell Brooks with less power. He beat Sean Porter with less power. He beat Ugas with less power. The man is fighting him near depleted. And when he fought Terrence, he was completely depleted. This why he had no legs. This why he couldn't move his head off the line. This why he couldn't get on the inside. This why he had no defense. This why he could barely even touch Terrence. Wasn't because Terrence was untouchable. Wasn't because Terrence was invincible. But if you want to say, well, Terrence won the fight, I join all the pundits and the critics and say, Terrence won the fight. Right? That's too easy. You know, put it this way. You ever fought somebody that was drunk before? I remember I knocked a dude slap out that was drunk. I mean, I was in the military. Yes, and I wear a hat proud. 101 Airborne. Army, military, right? And there was a dude, I mean, the dude had to be like 6'5". I'm only 6 feet. The dude was a big dude. He had another homie that was with him, right? Real stocky guy, you know, and I got buddies of mine, military buddies that back this story up. And so we was in the club, make it real quick. And my buddy had his auntie with him, but she was younger, she was like our age. And so she came in with us, and the guy was dancing with her all night in the club. So I was just sitting there watching the whole thing. You know, they was taking me out because at the time I was going through, I can say it, you know, hey, I was going through a divorce at the time, young military guy. And so I'm there, they're all taking me out to have a good time, right? To console me and just spend time with me and we just kick it with the boys, the fellas, and my military buddies and have a great time. But this dude thought that she was with me. And so at the end of the night, we were leaving and this guy was walking behind me talking about what he was going to do to a dude and how he was going to beat some dude up. And it's like 8 of us. So as we're leaving, going to our car in the parking lot, he was talking about me. I had no clue he was talking about me because I hadn't done that to anybody. I merely just sat there the whole night watching everyone have a good time. So, but anyways, I remember leaving with the group of guys I was with, and all of a sudden, you know, I remember hearing footsteps behind me. Now, this is the same guy that was loud behind me saying he's going to beat some dude up. So when he was coming behind me running, I heard his footsteps. So I dropped down to the ground because I saw the shadow of something coming upon me real fast. And when I fell down to the ground, the guy flew over me. He slid like 10 feet. And this is a big dude. So, I mean, if he'd have hit me, he would have probably killed me. I mean, this guy would have really hurt me really bad. And so we was all shocked. My whole team was shocked. And I'm going to get back to the point that I'm making about when you're drunk, the kind of stuff that can happen to you. I'm going to just, from experience, I'm going to tell you, since you pundits and you bud critics don't want to understand what being drained can do to you, what being drained drunk can do to you. Okay, how big, how strong, or how bad you are. When you are drained, you will get whooped. Okay, let me calm down because these pundits and these critics are just making this thing seem like it's more than what it is. It was just a win. That's it. It was a win. Bud won the fight. He was supposed to win the fight. He had no choice but to win the fight. Okay, the fight was given to him on a platter. Okay, that's what this was. Okay, both camps know this. Bud know this. Earl know this, right? So what I'm saying here is, when the guy tried to hit me and he missed me because I fell down to the ground, I got back up and I ran around the parking lot, all around the parking lot. Because this guy, he got up and walked back down to the entrance of the club with his buddy and was with a security guy. I ran behind the parking lot, all the cars, all the darkness, and I came back up with that military stuff for him. I had that military waiting on him. I had that airborne waiting on him. When I came up on him from the opposite side, he didn't even see me. Just drunk as he wanted to be. And I took his head off. You know, I'm older now. I understand things, you know, we're young and things happen, you know what I mean? But he laid out on the ground. And even when the police came up, the military police, he was still laying on the ground, right? What I'm trying to tell you guys is when you are drunk and you're trying to fight somebody, no matter how small the person is, no matter how big and strong you are, how bad you are, you will get your butt whipped. Earl was drained drunk. Okay, I'm just put it in those terms. He couldn't move his leg. He couldn't throw no punches. He couldn't get off the line. He couldn't counter, right? He couldn't maximize on anything. He couldn't cut off the ring. It's a lot of things he couldn't do. Now, me being a trainer, when you're training someone, you know how important that is, right? Half of you never even been in a boxing ring before. Most of these people that's speaking on YouTube have never been inside of a boxing ring before. The only thing they know how to box is their jaws. That's it. That's all they know how to box, right? So probably never had a fight. Most of these people that's talking probably never had a fight in their life. Number one, Errol Spence Errol Spence was 10% of himself. Number 2, he was completely drained. Completely drained. Number 3, he fell down 43 pounds and he stayed there for 17 months just to fight Bud. You get what I'm trying to say here. And then we can add on the other things, like he's been really taking a lot of shots because the way that he fight, he takes a lot of shots, okay? The car accident, okay? You know, any kind of hit you take, you get to the face or head at any point. Well, you know, at some point, it does take away from you, right? We do know that. But not on the level that all these pundits are talking about, okay? The man got professional doctors all around him, neurologists that done already cleared him. Listen, let's just be real here, okay? But is our guy Errol Spence taking too many headshots? Perhaps, yes, I can agree to that because the style of his fight. He's that old school Marvin Hagler, you know. So it's just, you know, it's just what it is when you fight the style of fight that Errol fight, and he knows this, right? So should he retire right now? I won't say right now, but maybe somewhere near down the road he should. He probably, you know, I would think he should think about that. Not because of Bud or what Bud did to him, but because of what he took his body through, you know, over the past, say, 10 years, staying down at this weight, you know, 10 years or more, and have fought the kind of fighters he had to fight to get 3 belts, the kind of damage he put on his body, the kind of hits he's had to take, not just by Bud, but by everyone else. Okay, we can say Bud the worst because he was the most depleted fighting against Bud. And he's much older fighting against Bud, doing it the way that he does it to lose the weight. You know, when you're going up in age and you're sitting at that weight for so long, and you've done this repeatedly 3 times already against 3 top champions, it's going to be easier for the last champion to try to go and secure that belt. Now, Terrence got all 4 belts, but Terrence didn't do half the work to get those 4 belts. Errol still surpassed him in the body of work he had to do to get those belts. So even though Terrence got 4 belts, it still don't add up to how special Errol was to get the 3 belts. Because he did it against 3 top champions in their prime. Bud only did it against 1 to get his 1 belt. You get what I'm trying to say. When he went overseas, and I won't say beat the washed up dude, but I'll just say that belt basically was given to him on a platter. Come on, man. Let's be for real here. Y'all all know who I'm talking about. Okay? All right? Man, listen here, man. It's like sometimes you think about this is crazy. It don't take away from how good Bud is. Perhaps Bud still could have beat Errol Spence at the true weight, you know what I mean? Or at an undrained weight. Or being undrained, period. Maybe Bud still would have beat him, right? We can't take nothing away from Bud. But I'm just saying, keep it real, man. All this other stuff y'all talking about, man, about demolishing and Bud is invincible and untouchable and Errol just have no chance. And, man, let me tell y'all something, man. Just don't you get in the ring with Errol Spence. I bet you half of y'all can't get in the ring with Errol Spence being drained and get out of 1 round. But y'all talking about he need to retire. You see, until you train, until you done, most of y'all don't even know what this is. Most of y'all that's on YouTube that's talking don't even know what this is in boxing. Don't even know the name, right? But you got everything to say, right? None of y'all don't know what any half of this equipment is back here. What it takes when you training, right? When you training someone, right? Y'all see this stuff, but I can guarantee you 90% of y'all ain't never put y'all hands in one of these. Don't know what it is to feel an incoming punch from another fighter on the end of those. Never put your hand in gloves. Never had no hand wrap on. I can go on and on. But you know how to bump your jaws. I want to call out somebody's name because one dude I heard, he really got on my nerves. He really got on my nerves. Like he liked Errol Spence, man. Listen, let me tell you something. You don't like nothing but bumping your jaws, bro. That's all you like. You don't know nothing about no boxing, nothing about no training, nothing about what it takes to be drained and what it takes to even get in that ring. Even training, you can get drained. You know, when you training, you know, sometimes I trained over 30, 40 people, you know, in a week span of training in my boxing program. Yeah, ring smoke boxing for y'all who think I'm just bumping my jaws, right? Check out ring smoke boxing, right? So all I'm trying to tell you is that when you training and you out there in this Florida heat, like I'm out there in this Florida heat, sometimes we be out there in the park as well. you know, and you're in this 90 plus heat for 3, 4, 5 hours. I'm talking about you can be so depleted that when you get home, you can barely take a shower. You can barely put yourself in the shower to take a shower. So when you Errol Spence and you got to come down 43 pounds and be completely drained in that Texas barn and go to Las Vegas and be drained running up those hills trying to keep weight down to make the scale because somebody held you out for 17 months. And then you say, Bud is untouchable. He's the best thing we ever seen. When you got people spying, I won't say spying, but you got people looking in on what Errol is doing. When you know Errol is drained, when you know you got him where you want him. See, this is boxing politics. What I'm saying is I don't want to see boxing politics. Because if you do boxing politics, you see the fight we saw Saturday night. But if you fight the man when you know he's ready and he's at his best and you at your best, then we got the real 50-50 fight that Errol kept saying we was going to have. Now, no disrespect. Errol said that he was ready, that this was a 50-50 fight. 50-50 fight. At this point, Errol can't pull back. He can't tell you that this is not a 50-50 fight because there's money involved. There's promotion involved, right? There's a lot of things on the line in this fight, right? So he can't tell you that he's really 10% of himself. You get what I'm saying? So when people say, well, he said he was ready. He said he was ready. What else is he going to say? He has to promote a fight. He still got a bag to secure. You understand? He done already signed the dotted line. He got to go through with this fight now. He's done it 3 times before, and he felt this is one last check time that I have to do this to drain myself and deplete myself to fight. The only problem is he's not fighting on any fighter. That I give respect to Bud. He's fighting one of the greatest. He's fighting one of the best. Can he lose 43 pounds, be completely drained, get on the scale, have no electrolytes in his blood, no electrolytes in his body, and get in the ring completely depleted and beat Terrence Crawford? And that answer is no. That's the best that I can give you. I can't say Terrence Bud is just that much greater than Errol because he beat him in the way he did. I told you in the beginning, my grandma could have beat Errol that way that night. And I'm being real with you. I'm being real. When you are depleted and that drained, anybody can beat you that night in that ring. Anybody could beat him. Danny Garcia would have beat Errol the same way in that ring. Ugas would have beat Errol Spence the same way in that ring. Sean Porter would have beat Errol Spence the same way in that ring on July 29th, Saturday night. Terrence just get the credit for it because he was the one in the ring to do it. But he was the one to hold him out also 17 straight months to do it. You get it? You see, this is what a realist does. Who also train, who also know a little bit about boxing too. So I'm not just bumping my jaws. So I send that out to all of you, right? Give Errol Spence way more respect and way more credit than what y'all are giving him. Terrence didn't do nothing super special, right? The man was a sitting duck. Terrence did what he was supposed to do. Exactly what he was supposed to do. But if you want to rate up to say Errol need to retire and Errol just can't do nothing with Bud, man, you are fooling yourself. Bud can't know better than that, and Errol can't know better than that. The problem is, do you know better than that? Because the realists in this game, this boxing game, we know the truth. And when you got people like Shane Mosley coming out telling the truth, that the real problem was the man was so depleted, and if you've never been drained, he's heard his boxing friends tell him, if I got it correct, that he was in the ring trying to box and he couldn't even move. He couldn't even pick up his leg. He was completely immobile. Oh, y'all don't believe that. Oh, I get it. Y'all that big of Bud cheerleaders that y'all don't believe that. Y'all that big of Bud pundits that y'all Errol pundits and Errol critics that y'all don't believe that the man could barely move. Not because of Bud, but because of being drained. Because of 17 months Bud was running. Oh, y'all don't want to believe that. That's an excuse too, right? Remember, excuses are made up. Excuses aren't real. Excuses when you make up something that's not real to validate a point. Facts are the truth. The truth is Bud ran for 17 months. Facts. Errol was drained, waiting at 147 for so long that it left him depleted. Facts. You see? Facts. The 50-50 fight, Earl was talking about was 17 months ago. He still had to promote this fight the same way. Facts. He had to say 50-50. He had to say the old school fight. He had to say the Hagler fight. That's how he was going to promote the fight 17 months ago. Facts. See, there's a lot to go on outside the ring before you get inside the ring. Bud them is great on manipulating what happens outside the ring. Do you remember when he fought the Benavidez brother? Remember he had got shot in the leg? He was fighting with a shot leg. Have you ever been shot in the leg before and have to go fight somebody out the hospital? See, people like to skip this stuff on purpose. Oh, it's an excuse. Remember, excuses are made up. They're not real. Facts are real. The man really was shot in the leg. You get it? You don't think that altered the fight? You don't think that man being able to push his leg in and out, throw his punches made a difference in the fight? Yes. Would Bud possibly still win? Maybe so. All I'm saying is we have to be real with this stuff. Stop making up things. We want Bud greatness to be merely because and purely because Bud is great, not because he's manipulating outside factors, which is all part of the game. Can we blame him? Well, that's what happens in boxing. It happens. Earl, he don't manipulate that outside stuff, outside the ring. Bud want to fight. Earl want to fight you, Earl want to fight you at your best. He'll even come off his best and drop down 50% of who he is to fight the best. Now, that's what you call special. And he's still as special, if not greater special than Bud. Because we haven't seen Bud do that. We haven't seen Bud make such an exceptional change or drop in what he do best to fight the best. Come on, man. Everybody can't do that. That's what Earl did on Saturday night. He got in there at 10%. How many people you know even have the guts to get in that ring at 10% against a Bud Crawford? Nobody on this planet but Errol Spence. He couldn't go backwards. He had two options he could have took. He could have missed weight, came up in weight, got on the scale, missed the scale, and automatically lose the fourth belt that he wanted, the fourth strap that he wanted. He could have automatically missed that fourth strap by missing weight on the scale just to put on the fight that we all want to see. And believe you me, yeah, I believe he would have taxed Bud way more than he did. The outcome would have been 50-50 at that point. We'd have had that Hagler fight and that Hearn fight we want to see, right? Them Duran boys back in the day, right? We'd have had that kind of fight, right? That Frazier kind of fight, that Ali, would have saw that, but at what expense? For Earl to lose the fight on the scale? Because to give us what we wanted out of Earl, he'd had to lose the weight on the scale. But Earl wanted to secure the belt. So he had to stay drained, stay down the weight, make the weight on the scale, get in at 10% of himself to fight Bud, knowing the chances of giving us what we want to see will be slight to none. And that's exactly what happened. So all that 90% credit of power that he lost and everything else that Earl lost, we just give that to Bud. Just give, but Bud just unbelievable. Bud just untouchable. And I'm going to tell you, if you believe that, you're crazy. Bud is great. Bud is exceptional. And yes, Bud is special. But he has to prove that against the right Errol Spence, the right truth. At least 50% of the truth we saw against Porter. 50% of who he is against Kell Brooks. And 50% of who he was against Ugas. But we'll never see that 50% of Earl against Terrence. You know why? Because Terrence waited him out. See, they team know this. This is politics. They ain't never want to see no real Errol Spence. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Facts. They waited him out even 2 years after he was coming down from being the real Errol Spence that we knew. The Errol Spence we saw against Kell Brooks. The Errol Spence we saw against Sean Porter. He wasn't even that when he fought Danny Garcia. He wasn't even that when he fought Ugas. They knew he was coming down off the Errol Spence we know can put that thing on Bud. You think Bud don't know that too? Yeah, Bud know that. And then after all of that waiting, after Kell Brooks, after Sean Porter, after Danny Garcia, after Ugas, Bud still held the man out 17 more months. Are you kidding me? What do you call that? Fighting Errol at his best or catching Errol when he's drained? Say what you want to say. Remember, I train. I know what it is. I'm not professing to be a boxer. I never was a boxer. I've had many fights in the hood. So I know what it is when you fight somebody and you fight someone that's drunk, you fight someone that's drained, or you fighting someone that you got a big disadvantage against. You're supposed to win. Yeah, you're supposed to win. The only credit I give Terrence is Terrence doing what none of the other fighters did. And even worse, he took advantage of a depleted and drained Errol Spence that they left out hanging dry for 17 months to do exactly what they did. And then all that smudging in the face. I want to talk about this smudging stuff. Even when Errol tried to get in on depleted legs and got to Terrence, Terrence still smudged him. See, he's a smudge. Like, he's real good with that smudge. Go back and watch all his fights. There was somebody on YouTube breaking that down way before the fight. He'll put his hand on the side of your neck and push you down. He'll put his hand beside your head and pull you this way. He'll put his glove inside your face and smudge your way when you're putting that pressure on him. Because, see, the truth is, Terrence don't like that kind of pressure up on him like that. He's not an inside fighter. He's an outside fighter. He's at the end of the glove fighter. That's where he at with them long counters. You feel me? Them long counter hooks. You know, he got some okay body work when he is inside. He's very calculated about those body shots he take on the inside. But he's going to push you off of him real quick. He's going to wrap you up. Or he's going to do the famous Terrence Crawford move, which is to smudge you in the face, put his glove behind your neck and push you down, or put you in a direction toward his other fist. You know, either the two, you know what I mean, or even the jab, depending on, you know, he's a switch hitter, depending on which side he's on with that too, right? He's going to take that one hand and lean you toward the other hand. He does it all the time, which, by the way, if we're talking facts, is illegal. You see how the ref got Errol Spence for hitting a low blow? Because Errol would do that sometimes because he fight the body, which is illegal, and the judge will warn him about it. The judge gave Terrence one slight warning about it. We couldn't quite hear what he told Terrence, and I'm just believing that he told Terrence not to be putting his glove in his face like that, smushing him with his glove. But Terrence do that all the time when pressure's coming up on him, which is what he can't take. You see? You get what I'm trying to say here. He did a depleted man this way. He did a depleted Errol this way. Still afraid for Errol to get close up on his body that he was smudging and moving his head and moving his face where he wanted to move him. A man on drained legs, completely depleted legs. Before he got in the ring, he was already beat. Terrence just executed, right, at a level where people are overrating him on his win. I am telling you, that's the biggest mistake the Bud camp can make, because they know not to believe what everybody else is saying. If you think they crazy, they ain't crazy. They're not crazy. They know what they got in the ring that night. And that was a completely drained 17-month, 43-pound less Errol the Truth Spence. And they capitalized on it. Okay? So we give all respect to Terrence, because a win is a win. For those who like a win being a win, no problem. I don't want to see a drained man fight an undrained man. I don't want to see a drunk guy fight an undrunk guy. Now, who wants to see that? That's what we saw. Okay? If you want to spend your money for that, then so be it. I don't want to spend my money for that. Okay? Now, I don't know what Errol can do. I've heard people say, well, Errol need to be ready next time. You can't blame him for not being ready. You can't blame the Bud camp for him not being ready. Let me tell you something. It ain't nothing Errol can do to get ready. Because if he got to drop down to 147, fight's over. Because he's going to be drained the next time as well. You can't help but to be drained when you're coming down 43 pounds. Do y'all get it? You would never see a fully ready, hydrated Errol fighting a Bud at 147. It's impossible. You get it? You understand what I'm saying? The best thing that Errol can do, being that he got a second fight, if he got to fight him at 147, is only come down at a certain time before the fight, which is what he normally do in his other fights, which keep him from being depleted for so long. But if you got the man being depleted for 17 months, Bud, whom I like. You know what I get mad about with Bud? What made me mad with Bud or Bud's team? I can't blame Bud. I'll say his team. He got to do what he got to do. Is that you know this. Like you know this. See, character to me goes a long ways. See, Errol wouldn't have did no mess like that. Earl wouldn't have did that. Earl gonna get in there. He gonna fight it. He gonna keep it real. He gonna fight. He gonna fight you where you at your best. That's all I'm saying, Bud. If you're gonna fight the dude at his best. Don't hold the dude without make up all these excuses why you went and fought that other dude on Blast promotion or Blade promotion or whatever, the Blazing promotion, whatever. Come on, man. $10 million, whatever you made in that fight. You made more in this fight than you made in that fight. And if you'd have fought Earl at his best 17 months ago, we'd have had probably the second fight by now. You'd have made 40 million by now, 20 million per fight. And then we could have probably had a trilogy because maybe you or him would have won the first fight or the second fight at your best. Not either of you being drained and manipulating each other, but really putting forth a real good fight without the outside political BS. Like I say, keep it real. Okay? Stop playing the man outside the ring to beat him inside the ring. That's what I'll say to you YouTubers out there. Since the Carter YouTube guy, I think his name is T. Carter, I won't say your whole name. Man, get your facts right. Stop calling Earl out like that. Stop putting it out like that on Earl, right? You don't know Earl. You don't know that man. No more than me. You probably don't know nothing about boxing being inside the ring or being anything to deal with putting on a set of gloves in your life, right? Come on, let's keep it real. You probably did a little jump rope in your life, right? A little jump rope, in your life growing up. But man, you don't know nothing about what goes on in the ring. So stop putting your mouth on Errol Spence like that, talking about what this man need to do and what you saw. You see, a lot of y'all look just like fools, man. Straight fools. The man will retire when it's time for him to retire. You don't think his daddy watching him on side the ring? You don't think his mama sitting there watching him? You don't think his sister sitting out there watching him? You don't think his old lady sitting out there watching him? You don't think they knowing this? You don't think he got the best neurologist outside of boxers in his life watching him, looking over him medically and for his health? Yes, he has all of that. So all you guys who got these medical degrees from somewhere, I don't know where you got them from. Maybe the hood. I don't know where you got them from. These PhDs you think you got, all of y'all need to step back. That man will retire when it's time for him to retire. And maybe that time is approaching him because of all the fights he had before this. All the body punches, head punches, and things that he take, because he take a lot of that because of the style of his fight. Old school fight. That I agree with. At some point, he should be looking toward that. But not because he got in this fight, drained, was 10% of himself, took probably the worst whooping he's ever taken, and we can agree to that because he was that much more depleted. Get it? See, Bud already know this. Man, Bud already know this. Right? He's enjoying all the stuff y'all saying about him. You know what I mean? Y'all lifting him up on the pedestal way beyond what it really would have been. Yeah, of course he's going to enjoy it. He's supposed to. Right? He's the opponent. His team's supposed to. Well, we told y'all we was just that much better. We told y'all them boys can't do nothing with us. We told y'all. Man, listen. When you're talking to a realist, keep that. I ain't buying it. I ain't trying to hear it. I rock with Shane Mosley. The man was drained, and when you drain, you can't move your legs, you can't move your hand. You know, after 2 rounds of fighting with these gloves on, these gloves feel like bricks. You know how heavy it is to hold a glove up once you've been punching a lot? It is extremely hard to hold these gloves up. Most of y'all that's talking to phase out in the second round. Probably won't even make it to the second round. So do you know how heavy the gloves are when you drained? You don't even have to be drained. You don't even have to be drained. It's hard to hold your own hands up or even walk when you're drained. Do you know what drained means? That means the blood don't have no electrolytes in it. That means you have brain fog. That means your brain can't respond. You can't move like you're supposed to. Do you get what that means? That was Errol Spence. So that's what we got. Don't blame Errol Spence for it. It was nothing he could do about it. He tried to give us the fight we wanted to see 17 months ago. But Bud in his camp ran for 17 months to avoid what Earl possibly could have done, or the fight we really wanted to see. So I say give Earl some slack. Get off this whole head injury and get off this whole thing that Bud is invincible. Bud just had a great strategy in his camp outside of the ring. You get what I'm trying to say? Now the next fight, possibly could be better. But will it be any different if Earl at 147 fight Terrence again? Well, if he's completely trained, I'm going to tell you, no. we're going to get the same fight, the second fight, if he's completely drained. And 9 times out of 10, Errol would be completely drained at 147. At this age and time in his boxing career. Unfortunately, being that Bud surpassed that 17 months that was critical for us to ever see what we always wanted to see, we may never get a chance to see it. Only thing we'll see now is Bud beating up on the Errol that is past the time of his age in the sense of fighting age at 147, which he should have been moved up a long time ago. Him being Errol Spence. He should have been moved up maybe 2 divisions by now. So Terrence going to make his living on just beating up on the Errol that we knew. The Errol that we know, right? That we once knew of being as great as he was early on in this division of 147. We'll never see Terrence fight against the Errol we saw at his best at 147 is what I'm trying to say. I believe that door has closed. Thanks to the Bud camp. Right? My brother even liked Terrence. He liked Terrence a lot. We was talking about this years ago. He said, Bud gonna get him. Bud gonna get Errol. I said, no, he ain't. Not this Errol. He probably wait to find another Errol, but Bud don't want to see this Errol, and he did just that. So my brother called me when Bud pulled out of the fight to go fight the other dude. I don't even know how to say his name. I won't even try to pronounce his name. Right? With the Blazing Promotion Company. I got to do my homework to get the name for that promotional company because I didn't care to hear the name. I didn't care what it was about. I wanted to see the Errol Spence and Bud fight before he ran over there and did what he had to do. So really right then, there was no excuse about the crossing the street thing. He didn't have a promotional contract with Bob Arum. He could have easily fought Errol at that time. But he ran and made an excuse that he was going to get a bag when he had twice the amount of bag to make then. See, y'all don't want to see the truth. Y'all don't want to see the reality and the facts in this. Bud team knew we need to wait it out more. We need to keep him at that weight longer. If we're going to have a chance to do what we did on Saturday night, we can't fight Errol right now. Dangerous to fight him right now. That's the truth. You see, that's the truth. If Terrence waited this long to fight Errol, and Bob Arum, his contract with Bob Arum was up, and he wanted to prove himself so bad because he was done so bad for so long, why didn't you take the chance to fight Errol to prove at Errol's best that you really is that dude? You see, which we all believe that you are that dude, but you had a chance to prove it on a greater stage with a better Errol. A more complete Errol that we are used to seeing. But your camp wouldn't let you do that. Camp strategy kicked in. No, we're going to hold him out 17 more months. We're going to keep him drained for 17 months at 147, and we're going to capitalize on it. Yeah, and that's exactly what you did, right? And you put that smudge game on him. With that glove. And the referee, I don't even really think he said anything to Bud. I assume he said something to him one time. We don't know what it was. You see, that smudge game still put the man out of position. He was already depleted in a lame duck. You was that desperate on proving your point that you are one of the greats. When you I truly believe you are one of the greats, but you didn't have to do it that way. You didn't have to wait the man out to do it that way. You see what I'm trying to say? Too much politics, man. So anyways, you want us to say it? Okay. Bud won the fight. Y'all happy? That's what you was waiting on? I give Sean Porter more credit for fighting Errol. I give Kell Brooks more credit for fighting Errol when they fought Errol. Yeah. I give Danny Garcia more credit for fighting Errol when he fought Errol. Hell, I give Ugas more credit for fighting Errol. Even though he lost, I give him more credit. Because he didn't back down out of fighting the man and ran somewhere else to avoid the guy when the guy was ready to fight him. Bud, you the only dude that did that. See, we keeping it real if we're going to keep it real. And see, I can keep it real because if Bud would have did what he had to do without all of this, man, look at here. I would have gave him everything that everybody's saying, I would give him. But see, I'm not you. I see what really happened. I know what really happened. I'm hearing what really happened. And I can't give him that. I can give him the win because he got the win. But I can't give him that. He's all that much more special than Errol because of the politics. You caught the man while he was drained. You set him up to be drained. And you ran for 17 months. Come on, dude. We know the boxing game, how it go. Right? The kind of respect you really looking for, bud, you should have got him 17 months ago. We'd have been on the second fight by now. Right? Could have been a wonderful trilogy. You get it? You could have made a surplus of maybe 60 million instead of running over there making the excuse up that you're going to get a bag. Now, that's what you call an excuse from that other promotion company, fighting with nobody we never really heard of. You get it? No, what you did was you ran to deplete Errol out, so by the time you come back, you catch him as a wounded duck, and that's what you did. That's exactly what you did, right? Because Errol hasn't having to stay at that weight for so long. Plus, Errol didn't want to fight nobody else because he didn't want to jeopardize losing the 3 belts. So you knew you had him waiting on your time. You knew that. That was the outside ring strategy, and it worked to perfection to get a less Errol than what y'all wanted to see. Wow. Nah. I can't say you that much more special than Errol just because you beat him that way in the condition he was in. Nah. I'll just give you the win and say you got the belts. I can't really give you credit for having all 4 belts because you didn't fight to get all 4 belts. You didn't fight 3 champions to get all 4 belts. All 4 belts. You fought one dude who put in the work to get those belts. And you played him to do it. You played him all the way out to the end to do it. Don't steal your greatness is what I'm saying. Be your greatness. There's a difference. And I can't give you that just because you won against Errol Spence in the way that you did when I know how you did it. Outside the ring. I told y'all I had something for you. I give all due respect to Errol Spence because he never played that politics. Right? He never tried to catch that man at a weak point. Right? He tried to catch Terrence at the time that they were supposed to fight. Right? You get what I'm saying? I take my hat off to Errol Spence. Well, how can you do that with the man that lost and lost the way he lost? Because I know how he lost and why he lost the way he lost. You get what I'm trying to say? I repeat, Danny Garcia would have beat Errol that night. Ugas would have beat Errol that night. Hell, Devin Haney would have beat Errol that night. I'm telling you, Terrence beat Errol Spence that night because of outside ring politics. And I don't like seeing that kind of stuff. I like to see the real deal. Was no outside ring politics. You understand? When Hagler fought Hearns. You get what I'm saying. That's what Errol wanted. And Bud knew he wanted that kind of fight, but wouldn't give him that kind of fight. Because that kind of fight would never happen. Because Bud had passed the point in time where we could have saw that and been on fight number 2 and possibly going on fight number 3. So let's get it right. All these YouTubers who supposed to be experts. Shame on you. Shame on you. Yeah, man. Y'all too busy being cheerleaders. You talking about Jermell Charlo being a cheerleader for Errol Spence. Nah, man. Nah. You got your whole camp. And half of these experts who are Errol haters. Errol defactors. You understand what I'm saying? Them the real cheerleaders. You got a gang of them. Right? At first, my mind was, this going to be a good fight. This going to be 50-50. I said it years ago. This going to be what we need to see. But when you pulled out and you ran for 17 months, even my brother said to me, man, I don't know what's wrong with Terrence. Man, I don't like what he doing. Even your supporter, one of your biggest supporters, which is my brother, said this to me. He started to see some fear in you against Errol. I said, what I told you, bro. I told you Errol ain't nothing to play with. Now, of course, in this fight, when you beat Errol, my brother, I called him and he was, man, what I told you, Terrence, bud, I told you, Crawford, Errol can't do that with Crawford. How fast did he forget? But I don't forget. And don't you forget. You never beat the real truth. Nah, you didn't beat the real truth. You fought the drained truth. You fought Errol the drained Spence. You didn't fight Errol the true Spence. Not even at 50%. Because that's all he's ever been to fight the other guys to win the belts. If Errol ever fought these guys at 90% of who he really is, he would hurt one of these dudes like real bad. He would have been got Sean Porter out of there. He'd have been got Ugas out of there. He'd have been got Danny Garcia out of there. He'd have been got Kell Brooks out of there if he fought them guys at 170. Because that's where his true power is. The man walk around at 190. He has to come down to fight these guys. So he lose power coming down. So at best, he was fighting them at 50% and still got him out of there. He just couldn't fight at 10% and get Bud out of there. Because Bud had him to wait 17 months. Now that's something for your ass. Excuse my language. But, nope. I can't say that you was invincible that night. I can say you did what you had to do, but I can't say you was invincible. Not against a lopsided, drained, depleted Errol Spence. I got to keep it real with you, homie. I'm from the hood, just like you from the hood. And that's what I like about you, right? I grew up in the hood, right? Sanford, Bow Key, Florida. Yes, Bow Key, Florida, right? Grammy, where it all goes down. They call us Little Miami, right? We're in Central Florida, but believe me, it goes down around here. I grew up through a lot. We all grew up through a lot. Survived Bow Key, right? Probably no different in the stories I hear from you. So I know real when I see real. I know real when I hear real. And you real, bud. You real. As an individual person, you're the realest as they come. But in the business and politics of boxing, you didn't show me nothing real. You showed me waiting for a man to get down on his worst, right? 17 months later and being trained to fight the dude, right? And I believe you better than that, bud. Maybe your camp had something to do with that, but I believe you better than that, bud. But we may never see the fight that we always wanted to see, right? We may never see the fight that we always wanted to see, right? You remember when you was poking Errol Spence in his stomach, talking about the fat on Errol Spence and what you was going to do to Errol Spence, yada, yada, this and that. And y'all bet money that on each other that if y'all win, what y'all was going to do. You see that Errol Spence there? You didn't want to see that Errol Spence. And the weight game began. And by the time you got out of your contract with Bob Arum, the least you can do is run. I know running when I see running. I'm from the hood. Just like you, dog. I know running when I see running. Now, I don't know if it was you because of that, caused that, or your team. Nonetheless, you ran. And my brother knows it, who's a Terrence Bud fan. And we all watched it. And we just washed that under the bridge on Saturday night when you beat Earl. You kept the brother there too long, Bud. You didn't have to do that. You kept him at that weight too long. You drained him out completely. You caught him at a later time. You made him wait almost 2 years. That wasn't cool. And you gave us what we got. Well, I hope you're happy. You beat him, and you beat him in a way that the whole world think that you're untouchable too. You really got all the pluses out of it. So be it, right? Take it how it is, right? You didn't cheat. You know, I'm not saying you cheated. You didn't cheat. You had some smudging going on, all the hand directing, you know, this stuff goes on in boxing, you know what I mean? But it is what it is, man, right? It is what it is. So, but you got what you wanted. But the problem is you didn't give Earl the chance to get what he wanted. And that chance was to fight him at his best without no outside politics. He gave you a chance for those 4 belts, and you thanked him for it. But you played him to get it. Yeah, your whole team played that dude to get them belts out of him. And to me, that's what you call weak. Way weaker than Earl was the night of the fight. Way weaker than Earl was before he got in the ring from being drained. Weak is when you play the politics to where you get out of the guy something that you truly didn't earn the hard way. You got it. The political, the easy way. See, that's what it is, dog. Now take it how you want to take it, bud. I like you, homie. I'm from where you from. So you talk that talk to me all day long. I don't care coming or going. You feel me? Because I'm from where you from. Right? Yeah. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I'm from where you from. I see it. I check it out. I see what it is. I like the way you treat your family, your sister, your mom, how you take care of them. I talk about it all the time. That's where you get respect from me from, right? I love that, man, because people talk us down, don't think that we can achieve things, don't think that we can do great things. So I like that. And I hate it when Bob Arum was holding you back from your greatness. I spoke up highly for you when that was going on, right? So I got to keep it real and keep it the same for Errol Spence. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. Okay? Was it wrong that you held Errol Spence out? We can't say it was wrong, right? But we can say it wasn't cool. It doesn't give you that greatness tag that I would give you because you fought a drained guy, completely drained guy. And now you're trying to capitalize on being invincible on the back of it when you know you only was that great because the man was less prepared, that the man was really a wounded duck after 17 months. Not even a wounded duck. He wasn't wounded, right? He was weakened. Let's get it right. He was weakened. Now, he was wounded after you was hitting all on him and stuff like that, right? After your whole camp put this whole thing in the position y'all put it in, which is sad. The man didn't have to take that much punishment. So do you really care about Errol Spence, man? No, all you care about is proving that you was greater than what everybody said you was. You don't really care about no Errol Spence, man, right? You could have really hurt that dude, man. Hit that man all upside his head and did all that stuff to him, knowing in this sense that he had a long journey in the way that he fight with all the punishment that he gives and take, as well as the kind of boxer he is. And then you add in the car crash if you really cared about that so much. Your Bud critics, your Bud supporters, your Errol Spence critics. What Terrence did was, knowing all of that, held the man out for 17 months to do what he did to him. If y'all care so much about the car crash, why would he catch the man drained and then hit him the way he hit him and do him the way he did him, knowing that this was their plan of holding him out 17 months? Now, that's what you call low. To me, you don't get no respect for that. Man, I can't celebrate you for that, bud. I'm sorry. Hey, I give you the win. You got the win you wanted. You got the belts you wanted. You know, you get the fake greatness that the world is going to give you. I think you're great, but I say fake greatness because I want to see real greatness. And real greatness to me is fighting Errol 17 months ago. And of course, we can't go back to that. So like I said, we may never see what we could have saw because you held out. Now you want to give us this and say, this is who I am. Nah, that's not who you really are. Nah, that's who Errol Spence wasn't that night. That's all that was. That's all that was. Errol Spence, all due respect, right? You're a warrior, dog. I'm just telling you straight up. You're a warrior. Win or lose, you're a warrior. I'll go to war with you any day, man. You're a true warrior. You're the true essence of what it takes to be the champion that you are, and belts don't make you, right? Because you got all them 3 belts the hard way. And the 4th belt, he did everything he had to do to keep you from getting it in the slickest way. See, you can't get me to believe it, bud. You or your team. Y'all can talk that talk, man, that yap, you know what I mean, all that. The truth is, man, you're in some way, in some small way, right? It's like y'all slithered in, right, like a snake, and snatched that man 3 belts away from him at his weakest point. And y'all set it all up that way. Now, boxing people going to say, we don't care. At least he did it. That's part of boxing. We're talking about old school boxing, dog. We want to see that old school boxing match when you fight me at your best, I'm going to fight you at my best, and it's going to be a dog fight. That's what we want to see, man. We didn't want to see none of that politics and all that slick stuff, man. We didn't want to see that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is What's Up TV Sports. This is hosted by your host, King J'Challa. Hey, man, you can call it what you want to call it. I'm always keep it real. You would never see nothing on this channel that talk anything less of keeping it real. That's why it's called What's Up TV Sports. So tell me what's up. Anything else less than the facts, I don't want to hear it. All you Bud cheerleaders on that Bud cheerleader thing, I ain't trying to hear you. Shane Mosley, you get respect from me, bro. You really do get respect from me. Thanks for keeping it 100 and putting it out there, although you're a Terrence Bud Crawford fan. You put it out there why Terrence was able to even do what he did. Man, I respect that, bro. Errol, the truth, you still the truth. You still the champion to me. You still way better than me. Than any fighter I've seen in this time. You still is that dude. But see, you got this new stuff. This new stuff, dog. It's politics outside the ring, Errol. So your coach, maybe y'all study up a little bit more on that because your whole camp is so real. You know, y'all keep it so real, and that's cool. Sometimes you got to look outside the ring and realize when people trying to play you. They trying to play you. Derrick James, they trying to play you. You feel me? On that outside ring stuff. They tried to exploit and take advantage of Errol in your whole camp because of what Errol was doing or what was doing outside the ring. And that was draining himself, coming down on weight, and then they had him to wait to stretch. And they knew Errol wanted the 4 belts. They knew they basically didn't say or do anything, and Errol was going to wait. They had Errol where they wanted Errol. They had the control and power to make him practically basically do whatever they needed him to do and have him in that position they needed him to be in to beat him. See, that's politics. There wasn't no real boxing match, man. That was politics, man. Yeah. Errol, I know you had to do what you had to do. You had to get in that ring. Because them 4 belts was what you said you was going after. And you wasn't going to lose them belts on the scale by not making weight. But you knew to make weight, you had to be drained. And so you knew getting in that ring, the chances of what you was up to. You knew the chances of winning was slim. Because you know in your heart of hearts you was drained. I'm sure your coach knew you was drained. So people can get off Derrick James saying, oh, he ain't a good trainer. Oh, why he had him drained. Why he didn't have him ready. It's impossible to have Errol ready when you have to lose 43 pounds to stay hydrated. No one can hydrate him. Derrick James can't hydrate. All the trainers combined can't hydrate a fighter, not just Errol, when you have to lose that much weight. Let's get that in y'all heads. You can't rehydrate after losing that much weight just like that. So no matter how you put it, Derrick James did a good job training him, but he can't make him not drained when he had to come down to make 147. You have to pick your poison. Errol picked his poison to be at 147. He couldn't hydrate up, and he had to fight the fight in the ring against Terrence Bud at 10%. The best thing he could have done, Errol, was to fight Terrence 17 months ago. That's where his chance was. Bud knew it, Bud coach knew it, Bud whole team knew it. So y'all could back up off of all this greatness and all this superiority over Errol. No. The best thing they did better than Errol was wait that man out. If Bud is great and Bud Camp is great, they was great at doing that. So we'll do it that way. Still, hey, Bud, you won. We give you all due respect for winning. If that's what y'all want to hear, that's what you did. That's what you got. You got the 4 belts. So now, next time, don't run. Fight the man at his best, at another weight category. Since you made him wait it out at 147, be a man, right? Be that dude from the hood, that dude that talk, that I see and know that's real. Keep it 100. Right? Put the politics aside. Fight the man at 160. Bump it up to 160. That way the dude only have to come down 30 pounds. Fight him at 170. Meet him in the middle. Both y'all at 170. I bet you won't do it because we already know what that'll look like. See, that's what we want to see. So to make it real, to make it that 50-50 that Errol truly deserved because he waited 17 months for you. He gave you a chance to get those 3 belts to make you look great because the whole world didn't see your greatness yet. So since you're since you're in that greatness and everybody looking at you, what being beat at, give him back the same respect. Give him back the same chance to fight him at his best at 170, the real Errol, 170 up and make it happen. Then you'll get my respect. Until then, I ain't trying to hear it. And I love the fact that Errol the True Spence Jr. ain't making no excuses. I love it because he's a big fish. Talking about you beat Errol Spence so bad. Errol Spence ain't this and that. Man, y'all must be crazy, man. You know, I don't know where y'all get these analogies from. Yeah, it make good TV. It make great TV. But it ain't about nothing. I know it, Bud know it, and half of the boxing world know it. Fight the man at 170 and stop running. Show us that you're really great. I know it's in your heart, Bud, because I believe you are great. I believe you're all on that level. But let your team, your whole team, let you fight the man at 170 and stop all this running. Right? Stop all that and give the man a fair shot for the 4 belts at 170. Stop talking about, well, we got it in the contract for 147 for 2 fights. Yeah, your coach, man. Yeah, he don't want to see you fight Errol Spence. At Errol Spence being at 50% of his power, nonetheless, at full strength of his power at 170. Yeah, I'm venting a little bit. I thought this was over. Yeah. Get a man a rifle shot since he waited for you for 17 months. Right? Forget about that contract thing. You got much more to prove now, bud. Because we all know. We all see what happened. We all know what happened and why it happened. You understand what I'm saying? Be that dude from the hood. Show me you are that dude from the hood. Show me what's real. Show me real greatness. You get what I'm trying to say? Bump it up like he had to bump it down. Meet the man in the middle at 170. Make it happen. Let's see what the outcome be. Now you pull that off, I'll become a cheerleader for Bud. But until then, it's Errol the Truth Spence over here, baby. I keep it real because one thing about the truth, he keep it real.